All right, here we go again. Welcome to TikTok Live. Have fun interacting with your viewers in real time. Creators must be 18 or older to go live. Fortunately, I am somewhere around 3 times that mark, so I don't think there's a problem there. Remember to create a safe viewing experience by following our community guidelines. And if ever there was a joke on TikTok, that was certainly it. I mean, community guidelines on TikTok are laughable, considering how easy it is to harass people here and get them banned on TikTok, even for something like doing a cooking video. On the other hand, if you dare say anything at all about TikTok's paid advertisers, then you can be sure that you will be banned, or at least this live will be shut down. All right, so let's do this right here. There we go. Come on. And we are starting off by chopping up some chocolate here. These are, well, I've had these in the freezer, so that's why they're making this nasty sound when I chop them up. I wonder if maybe using my serrated knife it might actually be a little easier to do this. So, oh, that's much better, much better. Okay. Anyway, yes, as the title of this video says, we are making a giant cookie this morning, or this afternoon here on TikTok Live. And this is an excuse to use up the last of the Halloween candy and throw it all together into a giant garbage cookie. And we call it a giant garbage cookie because it's full of garbage, some of which I am chopping up right now. What is this leftover candy thing you're talking about? How come you still have candy left 2 weeks after Halloween? The answer is because I don't have kids. When you get to my age, you find that it's not as easy. Yeah. You find that candy, especially chocolate, even though it still tastes good, it does tend to do things like giving an enormous sugar rush. Kids don't care or they don't even notice. But when you get older, you notice. So I definitely do not eat as much chocolate as I used to. There we go. We've got 8 ounces of milk chocolate. This doesn't go in the sink. This goes in the fridge. The next part is even more boring in that I have to unwrap all of this candy. This actually won't take very long, and yeah, actually, interestingly, because the cost of chocolate has skyrocketed over the past year or two, then these pieces of candy have gotten smaller. The advantage of that means I don't have to cut them up. I can put them in the cookie just like this. So that is one of the few good things about the way prices have gone up. I'm doing this on TikTok Live. First of all, I am not being paid for this. I guess I should say that right now. I don't have any kind of TikTok shop. I have not bothered getting a TikTok shop. I'm not selling anything. I'm just here to have fun and do some baking. On the other hand, TikTok Live does give some decent video quality, I have to say. Better than YouTube Live. YouTube does pay me, and frankly, they pay me better than TikTok ever would. This kind of makes me think of possibly the best Halloween candy give out I've ever had, which was about 15 years ago in Oneonta, New York. I've been trying to recreate that experience ever since. Because my girlfriend at the time lived right in downtown Oneonta, which is a college town and which also has a lot of families with kids. So she was located in exactly the right place that she had a huge cauldron full of candy, obviously, and the kids just kept on coming. I mean, there were dozens, if not at least a couple of hundred kids who showed up. And we did our best to entertain them, and we definitely used up all of that candy, and we even heard the kids saying to each other as they were leaving, "We found the good house." You know, the good house. Yeah, that was a wonderful time. I had so much fun doing that. She was dressed up as a witch, you know, her true personality. And I would greet the kids and pretend that we knew them in advance. You know, it's like, "Hello, the witch is expecting you." At least once or twice, I even got the mom to tell me the kids' names as they were approaching the door so that my girlfriend would be able to introduce them. "Alex, I'm glad to see you. I've been waiting for you." So yeah, it was fun. Candy's almost done. This goes in the fridge. I wash my hands. And then we get down to the fun part. As I mentioned, preparing homemade cookie dough is so easy to do. And let's start with 3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. Here's my half teaspoon, my half tisp. There's 1, 2, and 3, or 1.5 tisps of baking soda. Half a teaspoon of kosher salt. Half a teaspoon of kosher salt. And now for my secret ingredient that I like putting into cookie dough and cake batter. Cream of tartar. What is cream of tartar? It's essentially a stiffener, kind of like Viagra for cakes or cookies, in that it helps to solidify it. It doesn't turn it rock hard or anything. It says here half a teaspoon. But it definitely does help it to stay together and not fall apart. And I do believe that takes care of that. And that takes care of the dry ingredients, which means now comes another crucial step. Whisk together the dry ingredients. It was a while before I really learned that whisking your dry ingredients is really a crucial step. Besides mixing everything together, it also incorporates, fancy word, incorporates air into your batter and helps it to rise. Because, you know, as you can see, everything is all loose and not together in clumps. Next up, the wet ingredients. Here comes another bowl. Smaller bowl because the wet ingredients are going to go into the dry ingredients. And for this, we start out with 2 sticks or 8 ounces of butter, softened. Although in my case, it looks like it completely melted. There we are. Those of you who know my channel know that I am especially proud of collecting cast iron cookware, and this particular one is a Birmingham Stove and Range Lady Best series, made in USA cast iron saucepan, made during the later 1970s. 1 1/4 cups of brown sugar. 1, 2. Yeah, these are high amounts of ingredients because this is going to be this is number 3, freaking cookie. 4 and 5. To this, we do 3/4 of a cup of white sugar. One thing about making cookies is that if you have more brown sugar than white sugar, that's 1, I need to do 3 of these, you end up with more of a chewy cookie which everyone likes. If you reverse it and have more white sugar, this is the last one, number 3, more white sugar than brown sugar, you end up with more of a cakey cookie, which still tastes delicious, but people like the chewy one more. 2 eggs. There's 1, and 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. There we go. Like I said, this sure was difficult to make, wasn't it? Now comes the fun part, and we start mixing these ingredients together. And here we are. 3 cups, all of our dry ingredients, and in go the wet ingredients. Yeah, so all I'm using are a couple of bowls here. That's what I mean. This is so simple. Really, anyone can do it. And we start mixing it all together. Doesn't seem like much at first, but in a couple of minutes or so, it's going to look like cookie dough. In fact, it's already starting to mix together. I think we're at that point. What is that point? The point where I get my hands dirty. It's time to start getting in and working at this with our hands, or my hands. If you do this with your kids, chances are they will line up to do this part, because it means you get to dig in and start kneading the dough. And you see how quickly this is coming together? This is barely going to require maybe about another minute or so of kneading. Oh, heart-shaped, and that was unintentional. The chocolate. And we mix in all this chocolate by itself. And yeah, at this point, really, it's like, might as well just put all this into the oven right now, because yeah, we've got a cookie dough that is packed with pieces of chocolate. However, here we are going overboard. Would you like some cookie dough with your chocolate pieces? All we have to do is mix all of this together, which, as you can see, is not going to take long at all. And now I'm done using my hands, so I get to rinse off one last time. And then comes the star of the show. When I make a giant cookie, I don't mess around. I don't know if I can call this my trademark, but I don't think I've seen anyone else on YouTube or TikTok making a cookie like this. Because it is now time to bring out a cast iron pan, and not just any cast iron pan. Say hello, folks, to Stumpy. This pan is 15 inches across, which is bigger than those stupid so-called big cookies they sell at Walmart. This was made in Birmingham, Alabama in the late 1960s, so this pan here is just about as old as I am. Definitely made in USA. And there is nothing, and I mean nothing, like making a skillet cookie in a cast iron skillet. Now I get to grease my hands one more time and grease up the pan with Crisco. Don't need too much of it. Cover every inch of the cooking surface, and that includes the sides too. This particular cast iron pan, Stumpy, had been soaking in my lye tank for all of the summer or so, and I only just finished re-seasoning him. So definitely, this is not a bad way to christen this re-seasoned cast iron skillet. There we go. And dump in the cookie dough. This, of course, would be the part where if you have kids, they're going to have to sample the cookie dough and make sure it tastes good. It's just a matter of spreading it out, and as you can see, that's very easy. I mean, there's enough dough here that it easily covers even, the cooking surface even of this huge 15-inch cast iron pan here. On my website, I have the recipe. My website is Cast Iron Chaos. You know, the same name that I'm using here on TikTok and YouTube. And on there, under the section for Dessert Delight, is my recipe for a giant cookie in cast iron, including smaller versions of this, where you can use, like, say, a 10-inch skillet to make a huge cookie. I think the 10-inch size pan is the one that they are making at Walmart these days for $15 or so, and probably the price has gone up there too. Whereas these ingredients here, other than the chocolate itself, I doubt these ingredients, even though it's like 3 cups of flour and the like, could have cost even 1/3 of that. I don't think there's $5 worth of ingredients here. There we go. We take good old Stumpy here. Here's the giant cookie, put them on the top, and as I said, the oven has been reheated to 325. So, a 1, a 2, a 3. And in he goes. And we set the timer for 40 minutes. Oops. And with that, all we have to do is wait and clean the dishes and clean up my mess. But there we are. Our giant cookie is in the oven, and when it comes out, I do have to let it sit and cool off and solidify for anywhere between an hour to 2 hours. And it is time once again for the annual giant cast iron garbage cookie. This is where we use up the last of the Halloween candy and bake it all into a huge 15-inch cookie baked in a monster Birmingham Stove and Range cast iron skillet. I love making these giant cookies. Not only are they great to look at, they are, of course, great to eat.